Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be my August reading wrap up. I think I read 7 books this month. Most of them, to be fair, were from my 24-hour reading challenge. I don't know, I did that and then I had to move like a week later and I don't know, it kind of just wiped me out for the rest of the month. So you guys will probably already see a lot of these books and be like, oh yeah, I knew that you read that. But I'm probably gonna go into a little bit more detail on like why I rated a book the way I rated it than I did in that video. And obviously there are still like 2 or 3 books that were in that video that I did read earlier in the month. But also, like, when I was talking about some of the books in the 24-hour reading challenge, I was so tired that I don't even like know what I was saying. Like, editing that was really funny because I was like, girl, what are you even talking about? So hopefully this will be like more detailed on why I didn't like a book or why I really liked a book. So yeah, that is today's video. I'm gonna try to make it quick, but we also know that sometimes I just don't shut up when it comes to books, so we'll see. But that is the goal for today's video, so I hope you guys enjoy. The first book that I read was Divergent. Again, I'm in my dorm, I'm not at my house, so I do not have all of my books, but I did read this one. I do have the paperback. I did read it on the paperback, but I will put the pictures up in the corner. But yeah, the first book I read was Divergent. It was a reread. I really wanted to reread Fourth Wing, but I was like, literally read Fourth Wing, I don't know, I think like a month and a half, 2 months before that. And I was like, I probably should read some other books, not just reread this book like 800 times. So I decided I would read Divergent because every time I read it, like that's kind of like what I was comparing it to, was like, okay, this reminds me of this thing that happens in Divergent, or like this plot reminded me of that. I don't know, there was just like similar vibes in the books that I got, and so I decided that I would reread it and hope that it would, you know, cure my reading slump kind of, in a sense. And I mean, it didn't like cure it, like I still, all I want to do is read Fourth Wing, but it was nice to be able to reread Divergent because I really do like that book, and I love the movie, so I of course read the book and then rewatched the movie. But I rated that a 4.25. I can't remember what I rated it the first time, like I literally looked through all of my like journals and stuff that I keep track of like my ratings, and I couldn't find it, so I don't know when I read it last, but I want to say it was like a year and a half ago. But yeah, I rated it a 4.25. I mean, it was good and like it was entertaining, but I mean there was definitely like nothing that was like, oh my god, this is so good. Like I definitely think the first time I read it, I think I rated it higher because I hadn't read anything like it before. And I don't know, I think I was also kind of comparing it to Fourth Wing now, which maybe is a little unfair because they aren't the same book, but I don't know. It wasn't as good as I remember, but it was still good, and I mean, I'll probably read it again at some point, like, but yeah, I rated that a 4.25. I'm not really going to explain what Divergent's about because I feel like most people in the book community know what Divergent is, whether it's from the movies or the book itself, so I'm not going to really go into detail about that book, but if you really don't know, it's basically a dystopia novel, and there is a girl and a guy who, like, it's kind of like their romance, but there's also like other plot lines going on that affect that. I don't know. I feel like that maybe was not the best way to describe it, but someone said that about a book and I would probably pick it up and read it, so. But yeah, that is the first book that I read in August. Okay, so the second book that I read in August was Play With Me by Becca Mack. It is the second book in the Playing for Keeps series, and I rated it a 4.75. I really enjoyed it. I felt like the trope, which was either brothers, well, I guess, okay, you could do brother's best friend, brother's teammate, or you could do best friend's sister. Yeah, I think those are like the 3 tropes that you could categorize it as. It's also a hockey romance, so like I don't really count that as like a trope, it's more of like a type of book, but he is a hockey player. But yeah, I don't know, I just loved it. Garrett and Jenny, I think those were their names. I really liked the two of them together. I felt like there were obviously certain parts of the books that there were certain parts of the book that irritated me, because like sometimes I feel like with brother's best friend there's always that, like, and I feel like there kind of has to be, but there's always kind of that part where it's like, this isn't gonna work and we can't do this and blah 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 blah, and then there's always the part where the brother finds out and the brother's like, what, how could you do this to me, I feel betrayed. And it's like, wouldn't you want your best friend and your girl, like, I mean, not your girlfriend, no, you would not want that, oh my god, your best friend and your sister to be together, because then like your best friend can like become your brother, I feel like. But then at the same time, I get it, like, if your best friend maybe doesn't have the best reputation, but in this instance Carter had no right to talk, because he literally is just as bad, if not worse, than Garrett. So that really annoyed me, because he got all mad, but whatever, that's my own issue. But I don't know, there wasn't anything that was like wrong with the book, but I just didn't get the 5-star feeling with it. But I still really liked it, which is why I gave it a 4.75, because it's kind of like, for me, if it doesn't give me the 5-star feeling but I really don't have anything to complain about it, I give it a 4.75. So I don't really know, I just feel like the two of them, like, their characters, I literally couldn't picture someone like better for the two of them personally. So yeah, I really enjoyed that book, and I would recommend that whole series to anybody who either is getting into romance, wants to like get into hockey romances specifically, like hockey romances and haven't read it yet. 100% recommend. It's such a good series. I love it so much. So yeah. Okay, so the next books that I'm going to be talking about are the books that I did read in my 24-hour reading challenge. So if you watched that video and you feel like, you know, I got you ratings, I got kind of why you felt the way you felt about each book, like, I don't need to watch this, I totally won't be mad if you guys like click off, and I understand that this is kind of repetitive, but okay, I think they're setting off fireworks, so I'm sorry if you can hear that. I'm assuming it's coming from the football game, but I'm not 100% sure. So really sorry if you can hear that. But the first book that I read in the 24-hour reading challenge, which would be the next book that I read in August, was The Inheritance Game by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I think that's the author's name. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. And it's the first book in like the Inheritance Game series. I think there was 3 books out, and I think the 4th one just came out, if I'm sure, or maybe I'm wrong. I swear I've seen people with the 4th book, so it either just came out or like arcs were sent out. I'm not 100% sure. But I rated this a 4 stars. I was really excited to read it because like it seemed kind of like romance with some mystery, but not mystery like, oh, like a whodunit, but like more of a like riddles and puzzles and having to solve stuff like that. And it was, but I feel like, I don't know, I personally feel like it was overhyped. So when I read it, I was kind of disappointed, but maybe it was just the first book. I don't know. I'm still willing to read the second one and give it a chance. And if I like that one, then like I'll keep reading. If I don't, I might not. But I don't know. I feel like the first book didn't do it for me like I was hoping it would. I mean, it was still good. That's why I gave it a 4 stars. Like, don't get me wrong. It wasn't a good book. It was. I don't know. I feel like I had more like hopes for it and like had better expectations for it, and it just kind of didn't live up to that. So the 4th book that I read in August was The Fine Print, and was really excited to start reading it. I mean, I've heard such good things about the Dreamland Billionaire series by Lauren Asher, and I loved the Dirty Air series by Lauren Asher, and so I was really excited to read it, and you know, I had really high hopes for it. Yeah, well, I really didn't like it. I don't know why I didn't like this. I feel like I normally feel like I would like this type of thing, but there was just something about him. I don't want to say obsessed with her, but like he kind of was, but I just didn't like the way it was portrayed with him. And like I also just didn't like this whole like, I don't know, which makes me very nervous about the rest of the series itself, but like I didn't like that like their grandpa died and then like left them these like things that they have to do. And specifically this first guy's, which I can't even remember his name, so I literally don't know. That's how much this book has just left my brain. Okay, how do I word this? He had to become kind of like the CEO-ish kind of position, and then there's this girl that works at the company that he's now like obsessed with, which first of all this is just not good. And again, I'm saying this as if I don't read like really, really dark, smutty romances that also have very concerning things, but whatever. For some reason it bothered me in this book. And then like he pretended to be somebody else, and I didn't like that because I feel like that's one of those few things in the books that I don't like, when people like, when guys like this was like over text, like he was pretending to be someone different over text. And I don't know, it kind of just feels like you're messing with someone when they're, maybe you're really starting to connect with you. Like, it is you, but you act so different in text versus in person that, like, she truly does see you as two different people because you're saying that you're another person. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I don't know, that really bothered me too. And I don't know, the book just, like, I literally just was like, when is this going to end? Which sounds really, really bad. And I love Lauren Asher, so I really don't know why I didn't like this book, but I didn't. But I still am going to give Terms and Condition a chance. If I really, really don't like Terms and Condition, I probably won't read The Final Offer. But I feel like I'll like Terms and Condition. I don't know. People really say that Terms and Conditions and The Final Offer, yeah, are their two favorites. So I am going to give them a chance. But I'm a little sad because I was like, no, I literally love Lauren Asher. But I don't know, maybe it's just this whole like Disney World themed type book that I'm not, I don't know. The next book that I read in August was definitely a step up from the book that I previously just talked about. It was called Meet Me in the Blue by A.M. Johnson, I think. And I rated it a 4.25 stars. I got this in my book subscription box one of the months. I think it was July. Maybe it was June. I'm not sure. But I really, really enjoyed it. It is an MM romance, but it's very different from most MM romances that I read. I feel like a lot of the ones that I read are like either super, super smutty and have like really no plot, or like a sports romance. Like they have a plot, but it's like the same plot in every book. So I was excited because this one seemed very different from the rest. How do I want to describe what the plot was? Like basically, and I can't remember their names now. I'm literally failing at this whole entire point in this video because I can't remember characters' names. Yep, that's really exciting for me. And I don't have the book with me, so I can't look. And I mean, I could like technically Google it, but that's like a lot of work. So basically, one of the boys, like, okay, the two boys were like best friends when they were younger. Then they got older and like college happened and stuff like that. And one of them like moved a little bit away. Like not like super, super far away, but like a little bit away. But now the one that had moved away, his dad is like sick and dying, so he comes back to kind of like be there for those, you know, last few months that his dad's gonna be alive, and that's kind of how they rekindle. And then it's kind of this interesting thing where it's like, okay, they kind of quickly like realize, yeah, we have feelings for each other, but it's not only like a story about two guys like reconnecting and falling in love, but it's also the character that did stay in that town is him trying to figure out like his sexuality and stuff like that, which I thought was really interesting because it's not like, oh, I'm trying to figure out if I'm gay or not. Like he was trying to figure out if he was like asexual, and stuff like that. And I don't know, I just feel like that's very different than what I normally read in books, whether it's MM or not. And so I don't know, I feel like just having that kind of difference was also really, really cool because, you know, normally it's just like, I'm not gay, oh I am gay, or I'm not bi, oh I am bi. Like this one was like, okay, I know that I like him, but like, do I like I don't know, I felt like it was very different and done very well, and it had much more like emotions to it. Again, I feel like unfortunately a lot of the MM romances, whether it's because they're the ones I read because they're super popular, or maybe they really are just mostly like this, but most of the ones that I read, I'm not saying that there aren't emotions, but it definitely feels like it's more sexually driven emotions than like full-blown like true like connection. And I feel like these two really, you feel that like true connection that they have. So I really enjoyed that. That's why I rated it a 4.25 stars. So the next book that I read was very different than any book I read this month. It's my only dark romance that I read this month. So I read Satan's Affair by H.D. Carlton. This is like the prequel to Haunting and Hunting Adeline. I'm laughing because like literally the whole book is like 80 pages or something like that. Like it was super quick to get through, maybe like 100. And I read it really quickly. I rated it 3 stars. Like I definitely probably will never read that again, but it honestly was entertaining at parts. But like I remember reading it and kind of being like, ooh, this is kind of weird. Oh, that made me uncomfortable. What's going on? Like things like that. But then you literally read like the last chapter and figure out why all these things like were happening, and it like actually made the book 10 times better once you got to the end. So I would say if you want to read this book, whether it's before you read Hunting and Haunting Adeline or before, like, okay, technically it's a prequel, so like you're supposed to read it before, but like I know some people didn't even know it existed, so they didn't, or don't want to. Like it's totally fine, you don't have to, but if you are interested in reading it, I would definitely say, unless you're so uncomfortable that you're like, I can't continue, I would definitely say try it, because the end kind of blows your mind, or at least it blew my mind. I did not see it coming. And I don't know, like I want to spoil it, but I'm not going to. But it was just like, I don't know, it made the whole book, like I literally was gonna rate it like 2 stars, and it gave it a whole extra star just because of the ending. You definitely feel bad for the girl. Like she's definitely messed up because of things that happened to her in the past. So there definitely are some very dark topics talked about, so please search up trigger warnings before you read that. Honestly, any book that you read, just search up trigger warnings just to be safe, because you never know. There can be a book that has like a cartoony title that could literally have a very, very dark topic that's talked about. And some authors do a really, really good job of putting like trigger warnings in the front of their books, whether it's here are the trigger warnings, or like here's a QR code that will lead you to my website with the trigger warnings, or hey, trigger warning, things are going to happen in this book that could be triggering. Look them up. I feel like if you're gonna have a trigger warning page, you might as well just list them all there, but that's just my opinion. But for this one, for sure, please look up trigger warnings. There are very, very disturbing things that are talked about and dark things that are talked about, and I think everyone should be kind of prepared and aware of those things. So yeah. Okay, so the last book that I read in August was the last book of my 24-hour reading challenge, and also the last book that I read in August, and that was Unravel Me by Becca Mack. That is the 3rd book in the Playing for Keeps series. It recently came out, like I read it like a couple days, I think, after it came out, so it hasn't been out for that long, but I literally couldn't help it. I have been looking forward to that story for so long, and it was so good. Adam and Rosie, which you can tell that I liked it because they're the only characters that I can remember their names, like, definitely. Literally the cutest things ever, and I will be honest, there is a single parent trope in it, and when I tell you I don't normally like single parent, like, I don't know, for some reason sometimes kids in books really bother me. Like, I don't like pregnancy tropes, I don't normally like single parents trope, because sometimes I feel like I read a book for certain romantic plots, and so I feel like sometimes with kids it can kind of like, I don't know, sometimes characters handle it really well and sometimes they don't, and I don't like watching kids, whether they're fictional, like I know they're fictional, but like I don't like to see kids get negatively affected by characters in books, whether it's like, oh, we break up and we get back together, and we break up and get back together, like, so I don't know, sometimes single parent I just don't like, and sometimes the kids are annoying, I will be honest. Sometimes I'm just like, could you not? But this single parent, so good. Like, it almost makes me want to change my whole demeanor about the whole thing. It was literally so good. The kid in the book, loved him. The Rosie and Adam, like them, it was just so good. And there are dogs that are involved in the book, and the dogs are super cute, and I'm a dog lover. I love dogs so much, so like that was really fun to read. And I don't know, I feel like even though yes it still was a hockey romance, like he's a hockey player, it didn't really focus around the sport, it focused around their relationship, like a lot, so much more. I feel like a lot of hockey romances, it's kind of like almost half and half. This one I really feel like he didn't really play hockey that much in the book. It was more like, oh, we're having off season, or you know, I don't know, I feel like that's what was happening. So I don't know, I just feel like that wasn't as key of a factor in the book, which I really liked, because it was still like, okay, he's still a hockey player, you still have that plot line, but it's not, you know, overpowering the whole book. So alright guys, that is my video for today. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that I wasn't too like floating off in my own world, because I need to take a nap. Like, I really don't know what's wrong with me. I'm just so tired. But I think it was 7 books, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 7 books. No, 6? Oh my god. Let me just look at the thing. I wrote it down. Yep. Okay, 7. See, I should just trust myself with math. I read 7 books in August. I finished, oh no. I literally didn't even, I should have done this. Oh! I will look at my TBR from August and see how many I completed, and I'll put that on the screen. But I think I completed like 5 or 6 of the books on my TBR, which is really, really good for me. And obviously that was kind of because of the 24-hour reading challenge, but I could have easily literally read any single book on my shelf that wasn't on my TBR. So like, I still did a good job of reading my TBR. I will say next month, like September's reading wrap up, probably won't be as many books as the last few months, just because I'm back in school and I definitely do not have as much time as I used to read. But I will really, really try to get as much book content as I can out to you guys, not only in just reading wrap-ups and TBRs, but also like whether it's a reading vlog for a book. Like, I considered doing a non-spoiler reading vlog for Wildfire because I got that arc, but I feel like I'm not gonna be good at not doing non-spoiler, so I probably won't do that. But maybe another book I read, I will do a spoiler or non-spoiler free type reading vlog thing. But if you like, I would really, you know, love to hear from you guys what you guys would like to see me do. I know someone commented that they wanted to kind of see a video about how I asked for arcs and like how I received it, which I definitely can do if other people are interested in that. It was really simple, and I mean, what I did, I basically found from another booktuber, Bookstagram, she has all of it, and I literally didn't think it would happen, and it did. So I mean, really, if you email them, it's possible. I mean, it is. But I will say, we're still crossing our fingers that I get an arc of Iron Flame. Like, tears will literally fall out of my eyes if I get that arc. If I open that box and it is sitting there, I literally think I will smile for like the rest of the year. I don't think I would ever be sad again. Like, I want that so badly. So we're keeping our fingers crossed for Paige that she gets Iron Flame arc. I don't know when they're sending them out, so like, but like, it comes out in November, so literally any time now, I would assume. So we're really hoping for the best here. But that is besides the point and not part of this video at all. But you know, I can never go through a video with not bringing that book up, so don't mind me. But that was today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. You know, like, comment, subscribe, all that usual stuff. Again, comment if there's anything you guys would like to see me do, and if it's not book related but you still like, literally anything you want to see me do, you can comment. The worst thing that happens is I decide not to do it. But I would love to hear your guys' video ideas so that I can incorporate them with ones that I already have. So hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!